Welcome to Tomorrow Unveiled, where the future isn't just predicted, it's explained. Most people building or deploying AI right now have no idea that a federal compliance deadline ran out this morning. And that's not a criticism. It's actually a window into how governance really works at scale. Not in dramatic Senate hearings, not in press releases, but in binding operational directives with unglamorous names and hard dates attached to them. July 2nd, 2026, today. That's when Section 2 of the June 2 Executive Order, promoting advanced artificial intelligence innovation and security, required federal agencies to begin hardening government and connected private sector systems for the age of advanced AI. 30 days to comply. That clock just ran out. But here's the thing that makes this moment worth your attention. This deadline isn't the only move Washington made this month. The legislative branch released a 269-page draft of the Great American Artificial Intelligence Act. The states that were supposed to lead on AI regulation just pulled back. And the entire architecture of who gets to write the rules, that's shifting right now in real time. This is the story of the summer the United States went from debating whether to govern AI to building the actual apparatus to do it. And it's a story about who holds the pen. Let's start with the one that just happened. The compliance clock that most of the AI world didn't even know was ticking. Section 2 of that June 2nd executive order gave federal agencies 30 days to begin what it calls AI readiness, basically hardening government systems and the private sector systems connected to them so they can handle the speed and scale of advanced AI. That's a remarkable admission from the federal government. We can't run at the old pace anymore. The defense has to move at machine speed, or it doesn't move at all. And they back that up with action. On June 10th, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, issued something called Binding Operational Directive 2604. Now, that's the kind of name that puts people to sleep. But what it actually does is revolutionary in its pragmatism. For years, federal agencies operated under fixed patch windows. You'd discover a vulnerability, you'd get 15 to 30 days to patch it. And that was the rhythm. It worked for a different era. But CSA just said, that era's over. They replaced those fixed windows with something called risk-based prioritization, which means agencies now have to assess not whether a vulnerability might matter, but whether AI can weaponize it in hours and automatically exploit it at scale. That's the moment the rulebook starts moving, seen at the speed of the thing it's trying to govern. And here's the wild part. That shift happened in a directive, not a law. No congressional vote, no extended rulemaking, just an agency saying the old compliance rhythm cannot keep pace with the offense, so the defense has to adapt. For most of technological history, the rules showed up a decade late. You'd get a transformative technology, you'd wait for people to understand what it could do, then you'd start writing rules to govern it. By the time the rules were done, the technology had moved 3 generations forward. This time, the rules are arriving first, and they're arriving with dates attached, which means budgets get allocated, vendors get chosen, and winners and losers get decided. Today. For 2 years, the story of American AI regulation was a patchwork. California here with one set of rules, Colorado building something more comprehensive, New York focused on synthetic media, Washington State on healthcare AI. It was messy, overlapping, sometimes contradictory, and it looked like that's how it was going to stay. Then this month, the federal government made its clearest move yet. Representatives Jay Obernolte and Lori Trahan released a 269-page discussion draft of the Great American Artificial Intelligence Act. And it's not a talking points document. It's a serious accountability regime aimed directly at the frontier labs. Here's what it requires. The largest frontier developers have to publish safety frameworks. They have to undergo twice-yearly third-party audits. They have to report critical incidents to federal regulators. And if they don't comply, penalties up to $1 million per day. That's real enforcement with real teeth. For a pro-growth audience, the case here is coherent and compelling. One national standard beats a 50-state maze. Why should a company have to comply with contradictory definitions of AI system in a dozen different jurisdictions, each with different enforcement priorities and different penalties? A single rule book means clarity. Clarity means companies can plan, invest, and scale with confidence. And that's genuinely good for innovation. The instinct running through this bill is clear. AI should scale, and it should scale in America. So let's write rules that are tough enough to be credible, but clear enough to let the technology move. But the moment you centralize the pen, the moment you say Washington writes the rulebook, the question becomes, what exactly does that rulebook contain? And there's one provision buried in this draft that turned allies into critics. That's where things get complicated. The Great American AI Act draft includes something called preemption. And if you're not familiar with that term in the context of American law, here's the key. Preemption doesn't ban state action. It declares that federal rules occupy the field, and anything the states try to do in that field falls away. It's the quiet lever of American federalism. Specifically, this draft includes a 3-year preemption of state AI laws that regulate model development. For 3 years, no state gets to write its own rules about how AI models are built, trained, or deployed. That field belongs to Washington. The case for preemption is real and runs deep into pro-innovation thinking. One national framework beats a 50-state maze, and a company shouldn't have to navigate contradictory requirements across a dozen jurisdictions. That's not a villainous argument. It's coherent, it's practical, and it's grounded in genuine concern about regulatory fragmentation. But the case against preemption is equally real, and it comes from a different part of the political spectrum than you might expect. States have historically been where regulatory experiments run before national consensus forms. States are laboratories. They try things, they fail, they adjust, and eventually the ones that work become the template for national policy. A 3-year freeze on state experimentation means whatever Washington writes in that first draft is the only game in town. Right at the moment, the technology is changing fastest. Civil society groups came out against the preemption clause, AI safety advocates, labor organizations, not because they're anti-innovation, but because they're asking a genuine question. What if the first federal draft isn't the right answer? What if we need the state laboratories to keep running to find something better? Here's the honest framing. This is a genuine values trade, not a good versus evil fight. You can believe AI growth is the direction of history and still ask whether freezing the state laboratories for 3 years is the right way to get there. You can believe in speed and still worry about what you're trading away to get it. And you don't have to theorize about what preemption does. Colorado just showed you exactly what it does. The Colorado AI Act was supposed to be the template. It was slated to take effect June 30th, 2026, 2 days ago, and it was bold. It imposed substantial new responsibilities on AI developers and deployers, reasonable care to avoid algorithmic discrimination, mandatory risk management programs, annual impact assessments. It was the most watched state AI law in the country, and everyone assumed other states would copy it. Instead, days before it went live, it got rewritten. On May 14th, the Colorado AI Act was repealed and replaced by something called SB 189. And the changes are significant. The law reoriented away from high-risk AI systems toward automated decision-making specifically. It eliminated the reasonable care duty. It dropped mandatory risk management programs. And it pushed the effective date back to January 1st, 2027. Now, there's a way to read that as a healthy correction. The original law's definitions were broad enough to sweep in ordinary software, and narrowing the scope makes it workable instead of paralyzing. That's pragmatism. That's listening to implementation feedback. But there's another way to read it, as a preview of what happens when a state that led decides the compliance burden, the enforcement risk, and the shifting federal winds all point in one direction. Pull back, narrow the scope, wait and see what Washington does. And the question is whether that's maturity or retreat. Both readings are defensible. The episode is strongest if you hold both of them at once, because that's what actually happened. The state that was supposed to set the national template chose workability over ambition. And reasonable people disagree about whether that's the right call. But here's what matters. Colorado didn't just change its own law. By pulling back, it sent a signal to every other state considering aggressive AI regulation. Maybe wait for Washington. Maybe don't get too far ahead. Maybe the federal government's about to preempt this anyway. That's how federalism works. The pen moves to the center and the experiments at the edges start getting smaller. Now here's where it gets interesting. Instead of mandating pre-release review of frontier models, the June 6 executive order invites it. And that tells you something important about how the federal government is choosing to move. The order directs the design of what's called a voluntary framework. Frontier developers, the labs building the largest, most capable models, can choose to engage with the government. They provide access to their models for up to 30 days before release. They collaborate with the government on selecting trusted partners for early access. And in exchange, they get what exactly? The framework is still being designed. Meanwhile, a multi-agency group led by Treasury, NSA, and CISA has to define what qualifies as a covered frontier model by July 31st. That's the benchmarking threshold. The moment they say, if your model crosses this capability line, it's covered by the framework. And it's classified. The benchmarking process itself is classified. Voluntary has genuine virtues. It's strong. It's fast. It avoids the years-long rulemaking process that would leave government perpetually a generation behind the technology. And it lets the labs and regulators build trust through practice rather than litigation. That's real. But a former CISA official named something directly that matters. The path to stronger cybersecurity is more information sharing, not less. And here's the tension that creates. A classified, invitation-only voluntary process concentrates both the models and the knowledge about them in a small circle. That's efficient, right up until you ask who's outside the circle. The cyber defenders who could use access to these models today don't get it. They get the shape of what's happening, but not the substance. So you're trading speed for breadth. You're trading distributed resilience for concentrated control. And the question is whether that trade makes sense, especially when the people who traditionally defend against the worst outcomes are the ones left outside the glass. This is the honest tension for anyone who believes in AI growth. The framework's speed is its strength, but a classified 30-day voluntary process buys that speed at a cost. And the cost is paid by the people whose job is to prepare the defense. Step back and the shape of the summer becomes clear. The executive branch is moving through orders and directives with 30 and 60-day clocks. The legislative branch is drafting a national framework with real teeth and a controversial preemption clause. The states, led by the one that led, are pulling back. All of it is happening before the disruption everyone forecasts has fully arrived. And here's the thing. That's actually a sign of a system taking the technology seriously. For most of technological history, we got it backwards. Rules would show up a decade late after the damage was done. This time they're showing up first. That's constructive. That's the right instinct. For a pro-growth audience, there's something genuinely to celebrate here. Clear, coherent national rules that let AI scale with confidence. That's what the Great American AI Act is trying to build. That's what the voluntary framework is trying to enable. That's what the federal compliance clock represents. A government saying, we understand this is fast, and we're going to move at your speed. But taking the technology seriously means taking the governance of it just as seriously. And the trades being made this summer are real ones. Speed versus deliberation. National coordination versus state experimentation. Voluntary trust versus mandatory transparency. None of these has an obvious right answer. Speed is good when you're moving toward the right thing. But what if the first federal draft isn't right? What if you need the state laboratories to keep running to find something better? That's the preemption question. Voluntary is efficient when the people in the room are trustworthy. But what if the people outside the room are the ones whose job is to prepare the defense? That's the classified benchmarking question. National coordination sounds great until you ask what gets coordinated. And the civil liberties provisions that quietly got stripped from the national security side of the ledger. Those matter too. They're not abstract. They're the difference between a framework that's tough but fair and one that's just tough. The arrow of AI may well point where its advocates say it does. That's all the more reason to watch carefully who's holding the pen that draws the map. Right now, we're sitting in a moment of genuine uncertainty. We have a 30-day deadline that hit today. We have a 60-day deadline for the benchmarking threshold on July 31st. We have a legislative draft that might change before it becomes law. We have a voluntary framework that might become mandatory or might stay voluntary depending on how the labs respond. Hey, real quick, if you're enjoying this breakdown, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one when the deadlines start landing. The July 31st deadline matters because that's when Treasury, NSA, and CISEA define what counts as a covered frontier model. That threshold is going to determine which companies are in the voluntary framework and which ones aren't. When that threshold lands, or if it slips, you'll have a clear signal about whether the federal government can actually move at machine speed, or whether the classified benchmarking process becomes its own bottleneck. The Great American AI Act's path matters because that preemption clause is going to get fought over in markup. If it survives, you've got a major story about federalism in AI, the moment the states lose the ability to experiment. If it gets stripped, that's the story of the states winning the fight. Either way, it's the moment you find out whether the pen really stays in Washington's hand. And Colorado matters because it's the canary. If that state's retreat becomes the template, if other states start pulling back their own ambitious laws because they're waiting to see what Washington does, then preemption doesn't even need to pass. It just needs to be credible enough to chill state action. The transparency note, because it matters. This episode covers federal oversight of frontier AI developers, a category that includes Anthropic, which makes Claude the tool used to research this episode. The covered frontier model threshold and voluntary framework directly affect the company and the tool I'm using. That's our standing practice here. When there's a conflict, we name it. But here's what I want you to take away from this hour. The governance of AI is a building going up in real time, ahead of the storm rather than after it. And the healthiest posture, especially for those who believe in AI's growth, is not fear and not blind trust. It's sustained, informed attention. Watch the July 31st benchmarking deadline. Watch whether the preemption clause survives. Watch whether other states start pulling back like Colorado did. Because those aren't abstract moves. They're the moments when the map of who gets to write the rules actually gets drawn. Oh, and if you're watching on your phone, there's a hype button right below the video. Smashing that really helps channels like ours get discovered.
Let the future be your guide with all the